So today let's explore mugwort and all of the different properties of the plant, how to turn it into an herb bundle, and how I store a year's supply of mugwort. So here I have my final harvest collected in late September of my mugwort plant. This is a 1 year harvest. So like next year, this plant will put out double this amount. And this is probably this was the fourth harvest I had. So this was from back in, I think it was May. It was the first harvest and it has been drying on my ceiling and it is now ready to be turned into a bundle. So today let's go ahead and explore all this, and I'm also going to share some tidbits about mugwort in this video and try to fit as much as I possibly can in it. Okay, so let's start with the bundle. So this is just three, let me get this off of here. This is just 3 sticks or branches from the plant that I have been drying together. And this is how much I will use for one herb bundle meant for burning. So you can see that it's soft, it's crunchy, and right here is where I'm going to clip it. Okay, so I'm gonna clip it here and I'm gonna bring it up to the top. So let me go ahead and snip snip. That is going to go nicely into the plant for one bundle. So I'm going to tie this together and put it in my witch's cabinet. And I will end up having probably 20 or 30 of these when I am all done. So let me move these. Okay. So this is just standard twine that I like to use. It's a couple bucks at your hardware store. The easiest place to get it is just a thin, I don't know like the thickness, they all come in different ones, but I just like to get a good amount of this on my spindle stick. Just gonna kind of guess how much I need here. Of course my fingers, I have butter fingers. Okay. So I'm going to clip it and then, oh, of course it doesn't clip on camera. It will never work on camera, right? I guess I could edit this and do it better, but why? I'm human. Okay. So I'm going to now put this in half and I'm going to find the middle of the string and I'm going to gather it. So I'm going to tie the stems up and bring it around. And that centerpiece, so this is going to probably stick out and you want to make sure that it stays in there. And there is kind of a trick to doing that when you are binding it so it's not like sticking out like this. You're going to want to have it turned inward. So you see the curve? You're going to want to turn that inwards towards the plant, and so that when it is being tied together, it kind of interlocks its leaves into the bundle itself. So nothing's like sticking out awkwardly. When you burn it, it's not going to fall apart. So I have found the center loop. So here's the ends, and then this side over here is the center. If my fingers would work correctly today. So that centerpiece I'm going to tie around the stem. I'm going to go just past the leaves. You'll see why in a few minutes. And I'm going to knot this 3 times. So let me get the most of it. Okay, so here's knot 1 for the past. That's what it symbolizes to me, is the past. Okay, so you can see it in there. It's not at the stem, it's down past a few leaves. Okay, so I'm going to knot it again for the present, for here and now. So that's knot number 2. And knot number 3 is for the future, for what is to come. So I'm going to knot that in there. Now I have my knots. Okay, so I'm going to now carefully hold this upwards. I'm going to pull one side of the rope or the cord over to the other side and keep it out of the way. Okay, so make sure that's out of the way. Hold it carefully and take your other rope and go from the bottom of what is unseen to be revealed. Unseen, reveal, unseen, reveal, unseen, reveal, all the way down until you get to the bulk of it. So you can see how those herbs are now going to be pulled in. And if it doesn't come out right, back up, that's fine. You're not losing any of the energy or the magic you're putting into this, into the knotting. You want to make sure you weave it in there correctly. Okay, those flowers are getting a little caught up in there, so that's fine. So I like keeping the plants a bit loose. You're seeing the end why I do that. And okay, so now I'm at the very end. So I'm going to leave this cord now loose and pull it to the side the same way I did the other side. So you can see how it's tight, but it's not pulling on the plant. So here comes Jack, of course. He sees string. And around, using your ideas about what is seen and unseen, bringing it, weaving it, bringing it to you. Okay, so now all the way down. And you can see the crisscrossing. So some people see that as crossroads, some people see that as things coming together or undoing when you're burning. It's all very particular to you. So now I have these two cords, and I'm going to go ahead and knot them 3 times again. You can knot whatever intentions you have here. I'm going to not say what mine are, just because every time I do it, it's going to be something different on the end result of what it is that I'm seeking to use. And the plant, of course, is going to be particular, whatever it is. Okay, so there's my 3 knots, and now I have all of the string. You can choose now to hang it as a charm in your home. You can, hold on, this is bothering me. Let me clip these off. So you're going to want to clip off those stems. Let me just do that. It's just, I don't know. Neurodivergent is bothering me, okay? All right, so I'm going to set those aside. I use every single bit of this plant. I'm going to set these over here. Make sure I have all the little bits and pieces. Jack does not, I do not want my cat to eat mugwort. It is not safe for him. So I'm going to make sure that everything is loose and make sure I gather everything up. Jack is pretty used to me with herbs. He doesn't get in my space, and pay attention to your cats if they do. Okay, so you can technically cut these now and say you're done. Or you can trim it whatever you want. What I like to do is weave it back down to the center. So I'm going to bring it around. I'm going to add some energy to that, to the center of the bundle. And the other side, bringing it down to the center. And I'm going to now knot it there in the center. So, okay, so knot 1, tight, and knot 2. And the 3rd. Okay. So, and then now I'm going to clip it here for me personally. So you don't have to go down to the 3rd. That's what I like doing. I like having my 3 points. Don't eat those, Jack. I like having my 3 points of magic. So I have the beginning of my awareness, my end result, and then the center. So center is always like, you don't realize things until they've already happened. And you look back and go, oh, I remember that. No, Jack. Jack, okay. Yeah, he kind of knows when not to get into the herbs. Anyway, so here is my bundle. So I'm going to gather up all of this and save this for later. Okay, and this will be turned into what I put in my jars, or I will grind them for salves or other uses that I have. So now I need to go through all of this, and I think as I do that, I'm going to talk about mugwort and see where that conversation kind of takes us. So actually, before I do that, I'm going to pull off the last couple leaves on each stem so that when I am hanging them, the leaves where they're being bundled at is not going to get caught up and rot. So this part you want kind of clean, and this part you can put in your basket that you can use for other purposes. That's going to go into your witch's cabinet. So for like the loose leaf. So yeah, so I'm going to do that to every single one. This takes a long time. Put like a movie on, put something on, have some friends over, have good conversation. Yeah. So you can see the green leaves and the silver um, of the mugwort. So you want to make sure that no other plant like snuck its way in. Ragweed likes to jump into a mugwort harvest. I have found that many times, and you want to make sure that what you are gathering, all of it is the same plant. So, okay, so let's go ahead and get into some talk about mugwort as I just kind of go through every single piece of this plant. So let's begin with the meaning of wort. So wort is an old English word used to define plants and herbs that were good or useful for humans. It had been used to define herbs that were crushed or fermented into like sweet liquid mashes. And these liquids were drained from the mash and then were used in beers and gins and whiskeys. And then the word wort attached to the nickname of a plant is a really important word. It tells you a lot about the plant, and it tells you that there's a history with this plant and humans, and particularly in uses generally for healing. It's like liverwort, lungwort, bladderwort, things like this. And those nicknames, of course, are key to understanding how to use the plant. But mugwort is a bitter plant, so it was not one of those that was used as a sweet drink. It was not fermented for the use of like gins. It had a whole different use. It found itself in the standard like healing cabinet for digestive problems, for regulation of menstruation and fertility, and it was also used sometimes for like high blood pressure. And those uses are clues to the usefulness of the plant, but also the dangers that this plant can actually hold. So, for example, like if it lowers your blood pressure, it can also harm the heart, right? So there are dangers in using mugwort as well as usefulness in using mugwort. And mugwort is a very common plant that was used, and in witchcraft predominantly what you're going to find is that it was used for divination and for witches' flight. As with any herb, even if it's like mint or lavender, it's important that we check with our doctors. It's important that I say that. It is something that I strongly believe. It's not just something that I should say. Because it could have a conflicting reaction to another herb that you are using, to a prescription, or even to certain health ailments that you have in ways that we might not even think about. Say like, well, mugwort for one, let's say if we drink it as a tea and we forget about the fact that, say, like myself, I've gone into menopause, it can actually interfere with my HRT, with my hormone replacement therapy. So it's important to be aware of how herbs are used and how they might interfere with other things. So let's do some adulting. And let's look into the science of the plant. Ta-da! Okay, so you know when you read words all the time but you never say them out loud? Here's that moment. So when we work with our herbs, when we're doing our witchery, it's important that we pay attention to what herbs will affect our family members, our beloved ones, our friends, our children, our pets, ourselves, and that we pay attention to what our doctor is saying, where we are with our health, what prescription drugs we're taking, what vitamin supplements we're taking. All of these things play a factor in your witchcraft, in what you're doing as a healer, whether it's for yourself or say for your family. All of these things need to be studied, need to be looked into. It's not just about picking up a book on the shelf on the witch counter and going, oh, this is good for anxiety, this is good for headaches. We need to look further into it and understand that there's a science to witchcraft. It's not just the woo-woo part of it, which woo-woo's good. Woo-woo's good. But we have to actually back it up with science and common sense. So yeah, so it's no joke. What you eat, what you drink, what you smoke, what you are ingesting in your body, what you are putting in your environment is going to have real effect on our everyday lives. And so, I kind of like to think about the fact that like our ancestral healers, they didn't really need to worry about all these complex processed foods and all of these vitamin supplements and all of these prescription drugs in the communities that they were working with. They simply kind of knew what was seasonally being eaten. What herbs were in the environment that people could have gotten involved with, say like poison ivies, or if they smoked some kind of a ditchweed or something. Today now there's so much more complexity to everything that it takes a lot more keener wisdom, a lot more insight, and just intellect in being a witch. So yeah, it's always really important to balance the modern ways with our ancestral ways. So at least that's my opinion. Okay, so on the more simple side, so we did our adulting. So mugwort is also in the family of ragweed. And if you have an allergy to ragweed, you may also have an allergy to mugwort. So in witchcraft, let's get away from the science. So in witchcraft, mugwort is a crossroads herb. Remember, any herb can heal, can also harm, which is the cleverness of a witch. So mugwort tea, salves, tinctures, tonics, let me see, presses. I'm trying to think of all the different things that we could do with mugwort. Of course, being smoked either as an herb bundle or if we're directly like pipe smoking it, which is something I've done. All of these things are used in witchcraft to help soothe the mind and the body. And it has a sense of calm that comes over us because of the way it affects our nervous system. In a lot of Eastern medicines, if you read into a lot of that very rich recorded history, which is commonly used for help for depression, anxiety, and insomnia. And for an example, I have PTSD, and I have used it for night terrors. And my PTSD is another story for another day. So I cannot talk about mugwort and skip on the fact that it is a witch flight ointment. So it's used for spirit communication, divination, necromancy, as well as the shadow moon, or commonly known as the new moon, for the rituals and ceremonies around the moons. I think in an upcoming video, I'll share a few salves for my own cabinet. I make a mugwort lavender salve that is really commonly used in this household for my joints to help relax the muscles and any inflammation from the cold. So because it's used as a witch flight salve, mugwort is associated with the crossroads. And one of the most commonly understood energies of the crossroads, of course, is Hecate. And this characteristic of the plant talks about the spirit of the plant. If you're a gardener and you've worked with this, you will find that the plant is tall, it's abrasive, it will take over everything in its neighborhood, yet it is very soft, it's pretty to look at, and it smells amazing, but it's bitter to the taste, which is one of the dualities of this herb. So to smoke it, it is sweet, the smoke is alluring and very powerful, and allows you to sleep, but also most importantly, to dream. And that's the part that I've seen a lot of talk about, is the dream of mugwort, but they don't go into what kind of dream mugwort offers as a witch. So most commonly, the dreams are truth-seeking. It allows you to see the truth of what you fear. It allows you to see things that you're avoiding. It allows you to also, if you're an experienced witch, to do the witch flight. So I'm not going to talk so much about witch flight and what that actually is today. I'm just going to talk about mugwort. So the mugwort dream, for some people, can be a nightmare. If you are not ready to face yourself, to see the things that you are avoiding about yourself, then I would not suggest smoking it, say, before bedtime. Use it as a tincture for your joints. Get to know the plant in this way. Grow it in a pot on your patio, and start to familiarize yourself with it as you are also doing any of your own personal shadow work before you use it to smoke for any forms of divination or any forms of witch flight. That's just, do what you do, but that's just a word of advice from one witch to another. Okay, so here is all of my mugwort. It has all been sectioned. Things that don't belong have been pulled out. So I'm going to divide this group into 3. Okay, I have 1, 2, 3, and we're going to get the cord. Okay, so the cord is the same thing as I've done before, where you're going to double loop knot it so that you have a knot on each side. So you can see there's a knot, just very basic, wrap it around your finger, pull it through, and you have a loop. It's probably one of the best things. So this is also a slip knot when you put something in between it, you slip it through. So you see the two knots. And I'm going to now place the center of that in the middle of the plant, slip it through, pull that loop over the other knot. That's the important part. You can see it right there. And then pull it tight. So that tight right there, make sure there's no leaves in there. That those leaves will rot. You want to make sure those are not there. So this here, that has to go. So put that in your basket, make sure nothing goes to waste, and it will hang like this. It will self-tighten because of the way the knot is. Yeah, let me just go ahead and go back to talking about mugwort. So I think the last thing I'll say here is that as witches, we generally come to be familiar with one or more of these herbs in our practice, and probably eventually we become familiar with all of them. And the key thing is to recognize your own personal relationship with the spirit of the plant and how you work with it and how it evolves in your practice and how your relationship with it either blooms. Pay attention if you're forcing it. Pay attention if it feels like it comes into your life, into your practice with ease. Make note of all of these things. There's a form of consent of working with herbs and plants in your spell. A difference between just like adding rosemary and adding salt and adding some mugwort on a spell in a pouch and just saying, be done with it, and there's my spell. There's a different kind of connection that you're going to make when you start to understand the energy of the plant and how it could help you in your magic rather than demanding it to help you in your magic. And this is a relationship that's going to come when you start to understand the science of it, the common sense of it, the working with the actual plant itself, and then working with the actual leaves and making it into tinctures and this whole thing that will evolve as you grow in your craft. And it becomes one of those things that are very beautiful in your own personal relationship. And it's going to differ witch to witch because of how we are interacting with it and how it interacts with us and our needs at that time. So all of this is really, really a beautiful relationship that's going to come in your practice. So in the middle of it, I don't think I said anything, but I started to clear away this stick, which is from the central core of my plant, and I cleared off like a lot of the stems. So this stick is commonly used as a talisman. Witches will hang it either from jewelry or they hang it in their home, predominantly like in their bedroom, over their bed, or places of relaxation. So if you have like a meditation room or you have a particular place that you like to go and snuggle up with a book, all of those kind of places of extreme relaxation, focus, and rest is where you would hang the talisman. When you are wearing it as a necklace, I think it would just be different for every witch on why you would do that. For me, it's going to be about connection and devotion with either the plant or, say, with the deity. If you are someone that works with Hecate and she is part of your life and you are part of her, I know a lot of witches that will wear a mugwort talisman as a necklace or in their purse or something like that. So I will make another video on the final result on how I work with a central stem of mugwort like this. It has to dry and then be soaked in water and all kinds of things, so it could be its own video all to itself. Okay, so now I have my basket of mugwort. This doesn't look like a lot, but it actually is. And it's going to be dried in my dehydrator and then added to my jars. So let me pull that aside. So this is my jar of mugwort, and this is a purchase jar. So you can see that mine is very green. This is just one of my jars from this summer that I have harvested. I keep it in a very big tin, and then I put them in the small one, and you can see it's all in here. I will use this for any need that I have where I just need a loose leaf. So yeah, so canning jars, excellent for this. And this one is store-bought. You're going to get a lot of stems, a lot of root, and very little leaves. You might get the fluff of the flower, which is what that powdery kind of cotton-like part of it is generally the fluff, flower fluff. That's not my favorite. Once you grow your own and you have worked with the leaves, you understand the difference. I'm not saying that quality of mugwort bought is poor. It's just not my preferred choice. And then we have the bundle sticks that we can purchase from witch shops online, and you see the way it's just kind of wound up versus one that you are actually drying and making yourself. It's like a whole different world. That end there is easy to burn to get it started, and then it continues to burn, whereas the other one is mostly sticks. There is not a lot of leaves in it. It's kind of the stuff that's left over. And this one, of course, has the spellwork. The 3 sections, you're aware of the spell that you're weaving into it, the one that you wove into it when you braided it and collected it. So both are fine. It's more of a preference. If you have the option to grow it, it does grow in a pot, mugwort will, then by all means do it. And if not, there is the handy kind that you can buy at the store. So here is kind of my finalization for mugwort. Hopefully that this was an enjoyable video, and I said a lot, and hopefully there was some wisdom in there for you to take home with you. As always, hopefully you're having a beautiful day or night wherever you are, and happy witching.